Hi everyone, and welcome to another travel talk with Selling Travel. I'm joined today by Chris Lee, who is board member and destination spokesperson for the Pacific Asia Travel Association UK and Ireland, or PATA as many of you will know it. Today we're going to be talking about the recent news that Thailand and Singapore have both been added to the UK government's travel corridor list and what that means for those looking to travel to that part of the world. So hi Chris, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So let's start with the big news. What has the response been since Thailand and Singapore were added to the travel corridor list?
Well, it's certainly a good beginning, isn't it? So yes, both Thailand and Singapore have been added to the list, which also includes other countries like Australia and Hong Kong and Japan and several other countries within the region. Obviously, at the moment, all those countries' borders are closed, but this is a very important sort of first step. Certainly from Singapore's point of view, they've already maintained business and trade links during this time. They're just working towards now a border opening, in a cool and calm, collected way, as it were. With Thailand, we're the same, really. We are looking to open again the borders, but not for now. So at the moment, we're just waiting for a new scheme which will be introduced shortly. But one of the things we could say is that since the announcement, the flight searches for Thailand have been up by 55%. So there's obviously a lot of pent-up demand out there, which is really great news.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. At least there's still that desperation to get out there and go.
Yeah.
Do you think that when the borders do open, will UK visitors be required to produce a negative COVID test before they travel to Thailand or Singapore?
Yes, certainly with Singapore, their transport minister just yesterday basically said that as they look to open up, they're looking to open up to those countries where COVID has sort of become more under control. So perhaps we've got a little way to go. But as they do, then obviously there will be a requirement to have a negative COVID test. For Thailand, very much the same. So we are looking to introduce a special tourist visa as our first step of opening again. And one of the requirements of that will be a negative COVID test. There are other requirements as well, like there'll have to be COVID cover insurance as well, and a few other conditions, but certainly that would be one of the very rudimentaries. Yeah.
Okay, and is there any indication of when the borders may start to reopen?
The big question, Jessica, the big question. So at the moment, Singapore's situation is that they are moving towards, they're starting to open, but they'll do it sort of country by country. And I think particularly those countries which are where the cases are lower. That's the same thing for Thailand, but the special tourist visa we expect to be rolled out in the coming weeks.
Oh, okay, that's pretty.
But it is a
simple.
very restricted service. So just to explain a bit more, because it's probably important for the trade to understand, the special tourist visa is really targeting long stay customers. So you have to stay a minimum of 30 days. There's a quarantine period of 14 days when you first arrive. So it's not really for the general leisure market. But we see this as an important sort of first stepping stone towards the borders being open more broadly and more appropriately for the trade.
See, okay, good to know. And what safety protocols are or will be in place for those that do want to travel around Thailand and Singapore, such as masks and socially distancing, anything like that?
Good question. I mean, I think, if you look at both countries and in fact the Asia region, the mask wearing is something which is much more within their culture anyway. So that's never been much more of a problem. And so, again, social distancing is something which certainly outside the major cities they've been very good at. But on top of that, both countries, Thailand with the Safety and Health Administration Certificate, and Singapore's got one called SG Clean. Both are new schemes, basically, which hotels and attractions have all signed up to yet another sort of level of cleanliness and safety and health. So I think it's important to understand that Asia really takes this very seriously, and I think in many ways have led the way in terms of preparing. So I would have no problems in terms of the way we would be welcomed and looked after in either country.
And how badly have these countries been affected by the lack of tourism this year? I know Thailand especially relies heavily on tourism.
Yes, look, it's not good news for any of us, is it? I mean, we understand that. I mean, for Singapore, up to July, their international tourists was down by 76%. For Thailand, although the first 2 months were okay, just before COVID hit, it's been virtually zero since then. So obviously had massive impact on hotels and attractions and the whole tourism infrastructure in both countries. You know, in Thailand, it's 20% of their gross domestic product is tourism.
Wow.
So it's really hit hard. So both countries in the short term have targeted domestic tourism to try and fill a bit of a gap, but they definitely miss us. They miss us a lot.
I'm sure, and we definitely miss them.
Yes.
But has it been a time to perhaps kind of regroup and take stock, and have they used this time to, ensure that their tourism products are the best that they've ever been?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, look, there's two things that are going on. One is man-made, and I think in the sense that, yes, I think we are taking the opportunities, we've seen the opportunities being taken to really upgrade and make sure the product is even better than it's been before. But also, Mother Nature has also taken a breath as well, and so we're seeing cleaner waters, cleaner beaches, less pollution. All these things really has been a bit of a reset, I think, as well, and I think that's very noticeable. I've seen lots of before and after pictures of the clear seas and the beautiful beaches. And it really has made quite a difference. So I think, you know, when we get to go back, I think we'll be very pleasantly surprised at the warm welcome that Mother Nature, as well as our human counterparts in Asia, welcome us with.
Oh, that's one benefit, I guess, to
Exactly.
not so many visitors. And
right.
why would you encourage agents to send clients to these countries once the borders reopen?
Well, I think, you know, the fact is that what's going to welcome them there is a better product than it even was before, but it was always a very welcoming product. I mean, I think one of the things we need to understand is that COVID has behaved very differently in Asia to in Europe, and I think this is one of the things that's quite important to get the message across. Is that although COVID obviously originated in China, and Thailand was in fact the second country to get that, but it hasn't had nearly the same impact in terms of number of cases or number of deaths in any of these Asia countries. So it's very, very different picture over in Europe. So actually people should feel so much more comfortable when they get to come into Asia. I'm sure they'll feel much more comfortable because it's a completely different level. Just to put a few facts and figures on it, in Thailand, it's the second country to get COVID. 3,000, just over 3,500 cases is all they've had since February, and 58 deaths. Don't want to sound cold, any deaths are not nice, but 58 is what we would get in a day here. And that's not a bad day either, I'm afraid. So really quite a different perspective. So I think we can look forward with confidence to return to Asia when they let us in.
Yeah, those figures would actually suggest that it's perhaps safer over there.
Quite bluntly, it is. There's a completely different level. So if I was to say and I think that's why we're so relieved that this 14-day quarantine was dropped, coming back into the UK, because it made no sense. Because it's far safer, statistically speaking, to be in Asia than it is to be in Europe and in the UK, with the level of cases and deaths at the moment.
Yeah, we just need to find a way of getting there.
Yes, we do.
And what can visitors look forward to in terms of the rest of 2020, and perhaps more predominantly 2021. Are there any big events, or in terms of the trade, how are you looking to work with them in 2021?
So from a Singapore point of view, there's the inaugural Singapore Art Fair, which is going to be going on. So it should be a fabulous new fair and festival. They've also got, I think it's the Orchard Hotel. It's going to be their first waste-free hotel. And there's also some development of the fourth iconic Marina Bay Sands hotel, which is going to be going up there. So Singapore is always evolving, and again, a great sort of collections of hotels there waiting, and again, the festival's really good. And there's the Mandai Nature Reserve Park in 2022, which brings together a lot of the outdoor attractions and nature parks in Singapore. That will be a really great attraction as well. From a Thailand perspective, we've got a few new openings certainly as well due next year. We include the Mandarin Oriental opening up in Phuket. But I think one of the things that people can look forward to, as we mentioned before, is this sort of nature welcoming us as well. I think that's quite a big thing.
It's great to hear that there's still sustainability initiatives going forward as well, and that they will protect the beaches and waste-free hotels and that sort of thing. So I think that will still be a big trend going forward. Don't you agree?
I think you're right. I do think that we have to always look for the positive as well. And I think, the truth is, it is unlikely that we are going to be travelling in the same numbers in the coming couple of years or so. But I don't see that as being at all a negative thing, because at the end of the day, I think, we have had very large amounts of tourism going into quite small areas. So I think this is going to give a chance. I think the quality of experience that you'll get by less of us actually probably traveling into some of those areas, I think will mean it could be quite a really positive way forward. And perhaps this is a more sustainable way for the tourism industry to work in combination with Mother Nature.
Yes, definitely. Maybe we'll see the Thailand that once was, undiscovered, untouched. We'll bring that side of it back again.
Yeah, I mean, we had do you remember the beach, the famous the beach that was closed about 3 years ago because there'd been some over tourism problems there, and the water got polluted and stuff, and so they closed it. And 18 months after that, we saw this amazing restoration of all the coral and the fish life, and that's continued to be. And I think this is something we need to learn to work with, is that going forward, perhaps the travel industry going forward can be a little bit, it may be smaller, but perhaps a little bit more sustainable and a better quality experience.
Definitely. I definitely agree with you on that one. And I look forward to visiting it again, hopefully in the not so distant future.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks very much, Chris. Thanks for talking to me.